We kick it all off with Chiefs and Ravens. The kickoff game on Thursday. DraftKings has the odds to make the AFC playoffs, and those are the two teams at the top of the list here.
Similar
Chiefs,
to the NFC type of thing here.
Minus 600, so even more of a lock to make the playoffs than the 49ers over in the NFC. Then you got co-second favorites in the Ravens and Bengals, also favored to make the playoffs, the Houston Texans, Bills, Jets, and Dolphins. And congrats, DraftKings, 7 teams. 7 teams there, so not on the fence.
7 teams
in the AFC.
7 teams with the Chargers, the Jaguars, the Colts, the Browns, the Steelers, just on the fringe of like being there. And again, I think that's what we see the difference between the AFC and the NFC. There's going to be some teams that you're going to go, wait, this is a playoff caliber roster, and they're not going to make the playoffs. There's definitely more teams in the mix here. And because of the conference being so hard and how it shakes out too, it's one of those conferences where, hey, the wrong people get hurt at the wrong part of your schedule. You could end up going 0-3 during a stretch and go, damn, we were 7-4. And looking great, and whoever got hurt, and now we're 7-7, and the conference is incredible, and now we're not going to make the playoffs. So, man, the AFC is legit. I'm not shocked by the Chiefs thing, just like we talked about with the 49ers. It's to make the playoffs. Yeah, we expect them to make the playoffs, and you could probably argue it's the weakest division in the AFC. Right? I don't think any of us are expecting the Raiders to get there. Yeah, better. The Chargers, I don't expect to get there, spoiler alert, but I think better, okay? And then the Denver Broncos, I kind of feel the same way about too. I don't know if I look at any of them and just go, ooh, wow, right? Where in the NFC West, at least we thought the Rams are a playoff team and the Cardinals would be a pain in the butt, and the Seahawks are another team I go fringe playoffs. But, yeah, I understand the Chiefs being the landslide favorite to make the playoffs in the AFC.
So we don't have many disagreements on the AFC side either here, but we have a huge one right off the bat.
Yeah.
Because your number 1 seed, I do not have as a playoff team.
Whoa.
And they were not a playoff team last year.
No,
in
they
my
weren't.
Defense. Now, there were some reasons for that, and injuries and significant ones. But your 1 seed in the AFC is?
The Cincinnati Bengals. Now, I feel great about everything about the Cincinnati Bengals except for the Ja'Marr Chase situation. I mean, period. That's the only thing that made me sit there over the last week and go, man, what is going on here? When is he going to get on the field, right? The distraction of it, it's kind of flew under the radar because they're Cincinnati for that caliber of a football player and everything there, right? And again, I don't know what the hell they're waiting for. To me, that's as easy as it gets. But no, the Bengals are f***ing around with Ja'Marr Chase, and that bothers me. Yeah, so I don't know what to expect. Now, let me say, the roster, I mean, I think the offense is awesome. And I think with the offensive line, especially if Amarius Mims is back in there at right tackle after his little pec injury, but they got Trent Brown, I think the offensive line's ready. The way they have talked all offseason, like the things I've told you about, they refuse to bow to the Chiefs. They refuse, right? That's the kind of talk that tells me they're on the bulletin board, right? When I hear stuff like that. I think the defense is super talented. They're young in a few spots. The corners, we got to see some of them take the next step, but they're talented. So I love that, Ahmed, let alone they're led by a quarterback that I think's on a mission this year, and all he has talked about is Super Bowl, stay healthy, right? The Chiefs are the Chiefs, and they're very aware of all that. Put on some extra armor and weight to become bigger and stronger to last the year. And here's my last thing of why I do it. I know they played the Chiefs in week 2, but I look at week 1 against the Patriots, week 3 against the Commanders, week 4 against the Panthers, right? And week 6 against the Giants, where I go, there we are, 4 out of the first 6 games. Like, there is no doubt they're the better team on the field, right? And then we have the Ravens and the Chiefs, right, which is like a toss-up. But I look at them to go, they could be sitting real pretty, through that first stretch of the season. Up, beat the Ravens, beat the Chiefs. I wouldn't be shocked if we're sitting here mid-October going, hey, the Bengals are 5-1. Watch out.
I'm surprised you have them as the 1 seed, though,
I
because
know.
of what we talked about with the Chiefs.
The division.
And the division.
Yes, I get
because you could make an argument that the other 3 teams in the North, the Browns, the Steelers, and the Ravens, could be playoff teams as well.
I got you. I know.
It's going to be a gauntlet for them.
It is. It is going to be a gauntlet. It's not a year where I look at it and go, oh, they're the number 1 seed by 2 or 3. It's like, I think it might be one of those, and this is why I think they played in preseason game 1, and they played a good amount of their guys in preseason game number 2 a little bit. They realize that week 2, right? That could be for the home field advantage right there. Just a tiebreaker. Hey, we're both 12-5, but we beat you head-to-head, so you got to come to us in the AFC Championship game. And I think that's big for them, too. They talk about it a lot, how they want to host some of these games this year, right? And I think that's why there's been a little extra urgency in preseason and training camp for them, because they realize, wait, we can't do what we've done the last few years. Be sitting there at 3-3 or 4-3, kind of finding our way, and then go, we're going to get hot when we need to, which they have, and that's what I respect about them. But at the same time, if you want to be the 1 seed and do that, you can't do shit like that. And that's where, I like their chances.
Defense last year gave up a lot of big plays, uncharacteristic for them. So those are some of the reasons why I was just like, someone's got to be left out, and I left out the Bengals. As we move on to your 2 seed, and this is where the Kansas City Chiefs slot in for you.
Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, again, I still think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be every bit in the fight for the 1 seed and one of the best teams in football all year long. I don't doubt that. Early season, hey, Bengals, Ravens right off the bat, right? Then got to go to Atlanta in week 3. That's not easy. So that's another reason. They're another team that I think that's why they were played a lot in the preseason. They understand, like, we don't have time to, f*** around here early in the year. We mess around. We could be sitting here going, wait, we're 1-2, we're 0-3, something like that, which I don't expect. Their start of the year is pretty tough, though. That game, the 49ers in week 7, but they kind of hit a middle stretch of the year where you go, they're better than every team on the schedule there for a while. There's not too many challenges down the home stretch of the season where you look at it and go, oh, man, that's a gauntlet of games there. And that's where, I do like their chances, of course, and there are the Chiefs, and they're magical.
You have 1 team making the playoffs out of the AFC East. So
this
just
is
the
the
division winner here.
Right.
Your division winner in the AFC East.
Jets, Jets.
Your Josh Allen love.
I know.
Cannot make them a playoff team in your mind.
I didn't pick them to be in the playoffs last year. That was one thing I was wrong about, right? I didn't.
Looked like you were right.
Well,
and then it looked like you were wrong. And then it looked like you were
right again. Right. I know. But yeah, I'm not as deep as this conference is, like we've talked about. I know how awesome he is, and he's the only reason I think about it. I know their team's good, but what their offense is going to look like, how they're going to play that way. And then back to the conversation of, wait, Matt Milano's out, right? Von Miller, what's he going to be like? Do they have enough splash people on the defensive side? I mean, that's what we continually talk about with the Bills, and that's where I couldn't do it. And, yeah, I got the Dolphins not in either, because the Dolphins, between the offensive line changes and the amount of things they got going on the defensive side of the ball, and then being in that division, the AFC East and the AFC in general, I'm going to have them just missing out, right? I think could be some teams this year where I look at it and go, teams 9-8, 10-7 don't get in and lose to tiebreakers, that kind of thing. I'm kind of foreseeing that kind of year.
You believe in the Jets.
I'm going to believe in the Jets of, 1, the roster is super talented. 2, mission, right? Mission all the time. Anything I've heard, Saleh knows he's fired if they don't go to the playoffs, period. He's different there. Rodgers' legacy at line here. Joe Douglas, even though the roster's awesome, if they don't go to the playoffs, he's going to be in trouble, right? So I think there's a real fire under their ass in New York, let alone I think the talent is there too. The biggest thing with them will be, can Rodgers play like he thinks he can play, and can their older O-linemen stay healthy? If they do that, the Jets will be very much in the thick of things in the AFC.
A little bit of depth there. We drafted some with
right.
Rashanu,
They're not like one
line.
injury and done either.
Yeah,
that's the good thing. There's a little wiggle room. You're totally right about that.
So you got one more division winner, and just like in the NFC, it was the South was your number 4 seed. In the AFC, your South is the 4 seed, and that division winner is
Houston Texans.
Okay.
I'm going to go Houston. I'm a believer in Houston, of course. I do think Houston's going to go a little bit through, what do I want to say, young team struggles in the fact of, wait, we're adjusting to the bullseye, right? And teams in our division have studied us this year, and we didn't hit the ground quite running the way we all thought they might, right? And let alone the schedule is going to be a little tougher this year for them as well. So I kind of looked at that again. Seriously, really good playoff team, but one of those teams when I pulled up their schedule, I was like, man, that's sneaky. I don't remember talking about them this much during the schedule release. I know the Colts. I'm not picking them to go to the playoffs, okay? But the Colts are going to be good. And week 1, right? We know week 1 teams are not at their best. They haven't played a lot. The Bears in week 2, I mean, that's scary. It is. But then Minnesota, Jacksonville, Buffalo, okay, they're better than the Patriots, then Green Bay, then the Colts, then the Jets, then the Lions, then the Cowboys. I look at their first 11 games and go, yeah, they're better than the Vikings or the Bears, but not by so much that I look at those teams and go, oh, wow, they're definitely going to win, right? They slip up a little bit. They could be fighting down the home stretch here.
I have a different division winner in this division. I have the Jacksonville Jaguars, which is one of your 3 wild card teams.
I got them in. I'm believing in the Jaguars. I won playoff caliber team last year, honestly, is what I think. Just injuries, the quarterback dealing with, being beat up, right? I think trying to do too much. They couldn't run the ball for Jack Diddley shit last year. They couldn't protect. That will not be the case this year. I love, of course, the new receiver they've added to the mix and Brian Thomas Jr., and I think their defense now with Eric Armstead goes to another level. I do. So I look at the Jags and go, hey, they could be a team that not only am I picking the playoffs, but I think there's enough talent there and a quarterback and a coach that's fearless in playoff games that, they could be scary in the playoffs. You see them coming to town with some of those guys they got on that roster.
Your other 2 wild card teams are from the AFC North, and so you think it'll play out basically like it did last year with a AFC North team as the 1 seed. It was the Ravens last year, and then 2 other playoff teams. You got the the Bengals as the 1 seed this year, and your 2 other playoff teams from the North are?
I'm going to go the Ravens as my 5 seed, and I'm going to go the Browns as the 7 seed, right? So, yeah. Again, to your point where you go, hey, I'm surprised you picked the Bengals to be the 1 seed. Well, it happened last year, like you just said, right? So, and again, when you put it in the premises of like, I don't think they're going to run away with things there, right? I don't think they'll run away with it to the capacity the Ravens did last year.
Well, it's interesting. The Ravens were 13-4 last year, but they were just 3-3 in the division. The Steelers were the best in the division, and they finished 3rd in the division. They were 5-1.
It's amazing. It really is. It's a very unique division that way. Styles of play, the physicality. Again, there's coaches there that have all been there for a while now too, so they kind of know each other's teams and how they coach and what they do in certain situations. But yeah, the Ravens, of course, are a no-brainer. I'm picking the Ravens to be the 5th seed just a little bit because you've heard me say with the 49ers and all of that. A little bit of a letdown. Going to Kansas City early on, I'm not favoring them in that matchup. I'm not officially picking the Chiefs yet in that game, but I'm certainly leaning that way, right? I kind of look at it that way. The new offensive line, right? That's a totally different group. That kind of, I think that might take a little time to gel together. That's why. But I still certainly think the Ravens are super talented. The Cleveland Browns, the same thing. It's just one question, right? One. And you know what it is.
Quarterback.
Exactly. Just what is he? Who is he going to be? Can they win with him being, just just like a game manager type of guy? They can, I think, right? But can he make some plays and be a difference-making guy? I don't know. I'm not sure. I really don't know. But what I do know is they are good enough to not need a superstar quarterback to take them to the playoffs.
I mean, we saw it last year.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's where I went with the Browns. It was a tough one between them, the Dolphins, the Bills, right? But I just went ultimately with the team that I felt like a defense that's special, a coach that's, I think, special with that defense on that side of the ball, and a receiving core. I just went with the team that I thought was the most talented overall, and that was the Browns.
We both have the Dolphins out, and I like the Dolphins last year.
Right.
I just think that, maybe people have started to figure out that offense. Not that it can be figured out. They have some good talent and some speed over there, obviously. Right. And they did lose some stuff on defense. Christian Wilkins is gone. I think their defense is taking a step back.
Wilkins gone, Van Ginkel gone, Bradley Chubb coming off injury, Jalen Phillips coming off an injury, right? Other guys getting a year older. Offensive line's different, right? Tyreek Hill's just getting back healthy, practicing. I'm with you. And what you said, you weren't wrong. We've seen that the better defensive minds in football have figured out at least how to manage the McDaniel offense. I'm not saying stop it, but we saw Vrabel and McDermott at the end of the year and Spagnuolo just shut shit down there, right? Where we were like, whoa, they can't do anything. Whoa, what's going to happen? I mean, who's going to break a play? So, I don't think you're wrong there. And I'm interested to see what kind of new tricks McDaniel brings to the table here, because I think he's smart enough to realize he's got to bring a few different angles here this year because everybody's studying him and stealing him and watching his plays.
Differently than you, I do have the Bills as a wild card team, so I for one, believe in Josh Allen. I don't know. Crazy over here.
You're a dick. Yo, what's up? Thanks for watching, homies. You know it's the off-season, but there's no off-season with Chris Simms Unbuttoned. It's the NFL. It goes all year around, all right? So hit subscribe, please, to hear my thoughts on your favorite team, your favorite quarterback, and, hey, how this season might unfold as we get ready for the 2024 season. We got a better picture, clearer look now that the draft is over, free agency. We know who's playing quarterback for certain teams. So, again, thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe. Peace out, homies. Check you out soon.